The rain came suddenly that Tuesday morning, turning the city streets into rivers of uncertainty. Daniel Carter, 28 years old with determined blue eyes and a heart full of hope, stood at the bus stop clutching his worn leather portfolio. Inside was his future, or so he believed. Today was the interview he had prepared for over 3 months. The position at Morrison Industries could change everything. Daniel had been out of work for 7 months now. Each rejection letter had chipped away at his confidence, but he refused to give up. His mother's words echoed in his mind. Good things come to those who wait, but better things come to those who don't give up. The rain intensified, drumming against the plastic shelter. Daniel checked his watch. 45 minutes until his interview. Plenty of time. That's when he saw her. A young woman in her mid-20s stumbled along the sidewalk, her red dress clinging to her body soaked through. Her blonde hair hung in wet strands around her pale face. She wasn't dressed for this weather. No coat, no umbrella. She looked lost and frightened. Daniel watched as she collapsed against the bus shelter, shivering uncontrollably. Other people hurried past, too absorbed in their own problems to notice her distress. "Miss, are you all right?" Daniel asked, kneeling beside her. She looked up at him with glazed eyes. "I feel dizzy. Everything is spinning." Daniel placed his hand on her forehead. She was burning with fever. This wasn't just about getting caught in the rain. This woman was seriously ill. He looked at his watch again. 35 minutes now. He could still make it if he left right away. But looking at this young woman's pale face, he knew he couldn't just walk away. "Need to get you to a hospital," Daniel said gently. "No hospital," she mumbled. "Just need to rest." Daniel made his decision. He took off his suit jacket, the one he had pressed carefully that morning, and draped it over her shoulders. Then he draped his own coat over her as well. "Can you stand?" he asked. She tried, but her legs buckled. Without hesitation, Daniel scooped her up in his arms. She was lighter than he expected, fragile like a bird. "What are you doing?" she whispered. "Taking you somewhere safe," Daniel replied. He carried her 3 blocks through the pouring rain to the nearest emergency room. By the time they arrived, his white shirt was transparent, clinging to his skin. His carefully styled hair was plastered to his forehead. His dress shoes squelched with every step. The emergency room was busy, but the nurses saw the urgency. They took the young woman from Daniel's arms and rushed her to a treatment room. "Are you family?" a nurse asked Daniel. "No, I found her on the street. She was alone and sick. We'll take care of her." "Thank you for bringing her in." Daniel nodded. He looked at his watch. The interview started in 10 minutes. There was no way he could make it now. Not soaked to the bone, not across town in this weather. He found a payphone and called Morrison Industries. A crisp receptionist answered. "Hello, this is Daniel Carter. I had an interview scheduled for 9 o'clock. I'm afraid I won't be able to make it. There was an emergency. See. Would you like to reschedule?" "Yes, please. If that's possible, I'll pass along your message, Mr. Carter." The line went dead. Daniel stood there holding the phone, watching his opportunity slip away. 7 months of searching, 3 months of preparation, all gone in an instant. But when he closed his eyes, he saw that young woman's pale face. And he knew he had made the right choice. An hour later, a doctor emerged from the treatment room. "Are you the young man who brought her in?" "Yes. How is she?" "She has severe pneumonia and was dangerously dehydrated. If you hadn't brought her in when you did, this could have been much worse. You may have saved her life." Daniel felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Can I see her?" "She's sleeping now, but she asked about you. She wanted to thank you." "It's not necessary. I'm just glad she's okay." Daniel turned to leave, but the doctor called after him. "Young man, you're a rare breed these days. Don't lose that." The next morning, Daniel's phone rang. It was the receptionist from Morrison Industries. "Mr. Carter, I'm calling about your interview yesterday. Yes, I'm very sorry about that. Is it possible to reschedule?" "Actually, Mr. Carter, we won't be rescheduling. However, Mr. Gerald Morrison, our CEO, would like to see you this afternoon at 2 o'clock. He was quite insistent." Daniel's heart sank. The CEO himself wanted to see him. This couldn't be good. They probably wanted to tell him personally that someone who couldn't even show up for an interview wasn't Morrison Industries material. At 2 o'clock sharp, Daniel entered the towering glass building. His clothes were clean and pressed again, but his confidence was bruised. He was led not to the human resources floor, but to the executive suite on the top floor. Gerald Morrison was a distinguished man in his early 60s with silver hair and kind eyes, but he wasn't alone. Standing beside him, looking healthy and radiant in a professional Navy suit, was the young woman from the bus stop. "Mr. Carter," Gerald Morrison said, extending his hand, "thank you for coming. I'd like you to meet my daughter, Emma Morrison. She's been telling me quite a story about yesterday." Daniel stood frozen, his mind racing to process this information. Emma stepped forward, her eyes bright. "You saved my life yesterday, Daniel. I had been working late at our warehouse facility, checking on a shipment issue. I started feeling sick but thought I could make it home. I was wrong. If you hadn't stopped, if you hadn't helped me—" She paused, her voice catching with emotion. Gerald Morrison continued. When Emma regained consciousness, she told the hospital staff what happened. She told them about the young man who gave up something important to help a stranger. "It took us some time to piece together who you were. But when we discovered you were supposed to interview here yesterday, well..." He paused, looking at his daughter with obvious pride and love. "Mr. Carter, in my 40 years of business, I've learned that skills can be taught, but character cannot. Yesterday, you showed more character in one act than most people show in a lifetime." Emma smiled. "We reviewed your credentials, Daniel. You're more than qualified for the position you applied for. But my father and I think you're suited for something more." Gerald Morrison nodded. "We're creating a new position, Director of Community Relations. Someone who will ensure that Morrison Industries never loses sight of what truly matters. People, compassion, doing the right thing even when it costs us something. The salary is considerably higher than what you originally applied for." Daniel could hardly believe what he was hearing. "Sir, I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept." Emma said softly, "Let me repay the kindness you showed me." "You don't owe me anything," Daniel replied. "I just did what anyone should do." "But not everyone does," Gerald Morrison said quietly. "That's exactly why we need you." Daniel thought about his mother, about her words of wisdom, about all those rejection letters, about standing in the rain making a choice between his future and a stranger's life. "I accept," he said, his voice steady and sure. That afternoon, as Daniel left Morrison Industries with a signed contract in his portfolio, he paused at the same bus stop where he had found Emma. The rain had passed, leaving the city washed clean and bright. His phone buzzed with a text from his mother. "Remember, son, the kindness you put into the world always finds its way back to you." Daniel smiled. Sometimes life taught lessons in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes losing everything led to gaining something even better, and sometimes the smallest acts of compassion created the biggest changes. 3 years later, under Daniel's leadership, Morrison Industries became known throughout the city not just for their business success, but for their community programs, their employee care initiatives, and their commitment to corporate responsibility. Emma Morrison eventually became Coup, and she and Daniel remained close friends. Both committed to building a company that valued people above profits, but Daniel never forgot that rainy Tuesday morning and the choice that changed his life. He kept his old portfolio as a reminder that sometimes the interview that matters most is the one life gives us when we least expect it. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe for more stories about kindness, second chances, and the unexpected blessings that come from doing the right thing. Leave a comment below telling us about a time when a simple act of kindness changed your life. Your story might inspire someone else today.